Facts about Eminem, about the Detroit draft, and about driver's education. Fact number one, Eminem was born Marshall Bruce Mathers III, October 19th, in 1972 in Joseph, Missouri. Next, about the NFL draft. The draft selects eligible college players. And these players are very impactful. They can change the direction of the NFL team because we know the NFL is a branded system and there are owners that pay millions and millions of dollars to get into the network of a franchise team. And for driver's education is a formal program or course designed to teach individuals how to operate a motor vehicle safely. And I'm a state certified instructor and I teach in the Midwest. Number two, he moved to Detroit at a young age where he spent most of his childhood and early adulthood. This is Marshall Mathers, this is AKA Eminem. Next, Detroit has hosted the NFL draft in 1938, 1942, and in 1958, and again in 1986, and of course in 2024. More information on the draft. Detroiters showed up and showed out. I took a chance to visit. I am from the Motor City, West Side for life. What I noticed, they had very good security. Parking was very expensive, upwards of $100 to $80 for a parking spot. Security was on point. The food was excellent. Prices were high. But day one, 275,000 people. They had to shut it down. There were some people crawling under the gate, but the security took care of that immediately. Eminem did come on stage. Big Sean came on stage. So T Grizzly also. They are famous rappers, but not as big as Eminem. Next, Eminem's debut, Infinity, was released in 1996. But it was the 1999 album, The Real Slim Shady, that put him on mainstream, and the whole world knew about him. And I need to let you know, Eminem is a global, I'm doing good, how are you? Eminem is a global phenomenon, okay? He's known around the world. The NFL is a global franchise. They're recruiting players from around the world. For driver's education, the goal of driver's education is to prepare new drivers for the challenges that they face on the road. This is either through a third party or a public school. I've worked in both as a school teacher, teaching adults and teens after school, and I've also worked for some of the largest driver's education schools in the Midwest. So I'm blessed to have that opportunity, but also it's a huge responsibility because you have to teach people how to drive. You've got to set up schedules. You've got to do the state tests. So there's quite a bit of things that are involved that a lot of you don't see behind the scenes. And I'm trying to share more of that with you to help you. Next, about Eminem. He won 15 Grammys. And he was one of the best-selling music artists of all time. We all know Tupac. We all know Biggie Small. But in terms of the sheer force of selling records and then putting the Motor City on the map, he's the one that did it. Next, in 2023, the NFL draft, the Lions selected quarterback Trevor Lawrence with the first overall pick, but they did trade him, as you know. For driver's education, the courses cover traffic laws, which you need to know. They cover defensive driving techniques, and I go over a lot of those defensive driving techniques in my videos, in-car tutorials, and I also go over test prep, and I'll be going live tonight about 7:35, 7:40. But also, we are trying to get young drivers, teens, and adults ready for driving, so that 18 to 36-year-old age group. Next, for Eminem, he founded his own label. It's called Slim Shady Records in 1999. Then, of course, you know, he went to California, he met Dr. Dre, he met Snoop Dogg, and in around 2003, he and Dr. Dre invested in 50 Cent. 50 Cent got shot, so he talks a little bit funny, but there was a video, 50 Cent training in a gym, and he was actually upside down, and he was doing pull-ups, and Dr. Dre and Eminem had on white lab coats, and they had the nurses tending to him. So 50 Cent got shot. But the story along the way is Eminem invested $1 million in 50 Cent. And as time went on, 50 Cent started making more records, started getting better. And then, of course, you know that 50 Cent bought vitamin water. And then that snowballed, and he sold that acquisition. So we tend to think and maybe look at rappers like they're not intelligent. They're very intelligent. Next, many high schools offer driver's education, but as you know, it's very expensive to have 7 or 8 cars, to have gasoline, to have insurance. And I'm a state certified driving instructor there. And yeah, it jiggles a little bit. I'm a state certified driving instructor, and upwards of $25 to $45 an hour. I'm not going to complain, the salary's good, but a lot of public schools got out of doing driver's ed. So this is where third-party testers got in and started teaching kids. So I like to see it back in school. That's where it belongs. So after school, you can go into your favorite teacher's class, social studies, gym, and then your coach is teaching you how to drive. So there have been some legislative proposals to get that back in. More on Eminem. Despite the controversy of his lyrics, of his personal life, Eminem remains one of the most influential rappers of all time. And Detroiters showed out and showed up when Big Sean, who's from Detroit, Eminem, who's from Detroit, and T Grizzly, First Day Out. Also, another side note on Eminem, his house in Detroit, a developer bought that house, and they sold each of the bricks more than $100 a piece to people around the world because people love Eminem so much. And also, I don't know if you know this, Eminem purchased the old Kmart mansion in Washington Township. You can look it up. And this is where he created a studio, had multiple bedrooms in there, and actually a studio. Eminem is a really quiet guy. He wants to be left alone. And of course, if you had a chance to go to Detroit for the draft, Mom's Spaghetti. You can look it up. Eminem started, it's right by the Fox Theater in downtown Detroit. And Eminem is a businessman, right? And he has a Mom's Spaghetti restaurant. And then, of course, they sold out during the draft. And then there's one in California. Many high school students take driver's education. As a part of the curriculum, students may be required to complete all the courses to obtain their license. Typically, it varies from state to state. Right now, across the United States, there's something called a graduated license. You might have to drive 6 hours with the state certified instructor, 8 hours. Then you spend the rest of the time with your parent or guardian, learning the rules of the road, right of way, crash avoidance, defensive driving. That's part of my job too. So my job has changed. Less than 8 years ago, you only needed 4 hours to drive, and then you were out driving. But a lot of young adults were killing themselves. So legislative groups pass laws to increase the amount of time, and I'm for that. It's about being safe on the road, and we really want you to be safe. Eminem struggled with addiction. You know he hurt his back, and he was taking painkillers, and he got addicted to that. Through his life, he's been opening up about his experiences in his music, and we need music to heal us because we all have a lot of personal drama. I have trauma, you have trauma, but music allows us to escape, okay? And that helps us understand. The location of the draft rotates among cities. Next year is going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A lot of people were there watching what was going on in Detroit, not to talk about them, but to learn. How do we handle traffic, right? When you're driving in a downtown area, you need to see the big picture. A lot of beginning drivers only see traffic light to traffic light, just like I'm looking. But now I'm going to see the big picture. You don't see to the left. You don't see to the right. You don't see 40 people walking in front of you. I would not take many of you downtown Detroit because of the sheer volume of people, 240,000 people, and they shut down Jefferson. They shut down Lafayette because it was a spectacle, and over 5,000 people came from Windsor, which is across the Detroit River. You should know your geography. Driver's education varies from state to state. I've taught students from Canada, I've taught students from Europe, I've taught students from the Middle East, and in fact, a lot of you are from the UK, Germany, and I'm blessed to have you here, and type in where you're from so I know. Research has shown by completing driver's education courses, it can lead to safer driving behavior, and I'm all about safe driving behavior, and to reduce crashes, okay? Eminem started a semi-biography film called 8 Mile, okay? This was in 2002, and it cost $15 million. Do you imagine today we could shoot it on our iPhone? So that production cost $15 million. We went through his childhood, him growing up, the whole thing, and him going to a rap contest, okay? Typically, with driver's education, instruction includes in class and behind the wheel, where your instructor is showing you what to do. This is how you make a right turn. You turn hand over hand. You look where you want to go. A lot of beginners don't look where they're going, and they have a difficult time with depth perception. So if you're listening to this, you need to be writing this down. You need to be looking through the videos. Also, beginning drivers continue to struggle with right of way. And if we were in downtown Detroit or Houston, Texas, or California, Los Angeles, California, they are hundreds of New York. A lot of people have commented. And then the UK. There are hundreds and thousands of people. So what I need you to do is take a step back. Pedestrians will walk on in front of you. Pedestrians should walk on the sidewalk if there's a sidewalk provided. Pedestrians, if there's no sidewalk, they should be walking on the side edge of the road toward traffic, which is still dangerous. You never want to turn your back to traffic. If you're riding a bike, this is going to be on your knowledge test. You need to be listening. If they are riding a bike, bicyclists need to ride with the flow of the traffic. If the light turns red and you're on a bike, you're expected to stop. Okay? Next, driver's education, typically licensed professionals. I'm a licensed professional. I have to have a state examination every 2 years, a background check, and a physical. So every 2 years, I go through the training to make sure I'm in good peak condition. And that's really important. Those are some of the things you don't know. So when I'm in there in the car with you, I can instruct you, I can help you, and I can prepare you for your journey of driving. Different jurisdictions have different requirements. It may be different in the UK, where it's more involved. Am I going to say the UK test is much harder and more different than the United States? It is different. I'm not going to say it is hard or as easy. I know how to drive a manual. You need to push in the clutch. You need to make sure it's not in gear, and you push the clutch in and you accelerate. So I'll do some tutorials and manuals. The same thing applies. We have roundabouts here in the United States, just like many places of the world. You need to yield to traffic in the roundabout. And once traffic is clear, you proceed through. According to the Driver's Education Association, if you have parental involvement and support, you're more likely to be more successful when you're on the road. You're more likely to have less driving errors. It takes 10 years to become a master driver. So if you take driver's ed at 16, you're going to be 26. You take it at 15, you're going to be 25. 17, 27. But I'm speaking to those 18 to 36-year-olds because of COVID. The cost, I'm not going to lie to you, it's upwards of $450 to $550 for driver's education. And a lot of adults, 18, 19, 20, are like, I'm just going to wait till I'm 18 or 19 or 21. But by that time, you're taking an Uber, you're taking a Lyft. And you need to start getting yourself out there and getting involved, okay? So Eminem is extremely involved in the community, okay? And the NFL and Eminem, every state, every community has their local heroes, their local people. Eminem is one of our local guys. Big Sean is one of our local guests, even though he lives out of state now. Okay. And T Grizzly. So these are entertainers and they do contribute to the community. Let's talk about other new advice you need. Next, you need to use these 5 strategies to help you when you're driving on the road. First, I need you to keep a lot of room. A lot of beginners tailgate very aggressively. Take your time, TIME, to process information. Don't scare the parents. That's the first thing I would say to all of you. This is advice. I'm a state certified instructor. We have 2 mirrors. We have the one in the driver's side, the one in the passenger seat. We have 2 brakes. You have one on your driver's side. I have one in my passenger seat. So if you do make a mistake, I'm able to squeeze the brake, turn the wheel so we don't hit a car. You don't run a light. But if I hit that brake too hard, I'm going to snap the cable. Some of them have a metal bar going across. And this is serious. So you see a lot of people on social media, but they don't have a real brake. There are some good people doing this in the UK and in India, but I'm here in the United States. And I'm giving you real data to help you. Beginning drivers don't judge distance well. So when you're driving, take your time. You might want to count, pick a stationary object. You want to have 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour. So if you're going 40, you should have 4 car lengths. You're going 50, it should be 5 car lengths. This is real information to help you understand. And each year, the NFL invests in the community. This time it was the Boys and Girls Club. If I will put together my nonprofit, we can invest in an organization to teach adults and teens, because several years ago I had a special assignment. I was driving 18 to 22-year-olds who did not get their license. So I had to do in-class training, road test prep, and then part of my responsibility is to get them to the Secretary of State so they can pass their road test. So that was very fulfilling for me. So those are some things you don't know about me. Next, you always have to scan intersections. You should be looking left, middle, right. You want to focus on staying calm. Last night, it was a night drive. I went live. I talked about night driving. I had a really good driver's head car, good clear headlights, good clean windshield. I was able to give you real information on night driving. And that can be really scary for a first-time driver. It's raining, it's hard to see, and it's at night. So you got to look at these videos and visualize yourself in there. Let's talk about parallel parking, because a lot of you will struggle with that. You want to line your car up, reverse back at a 45, cut it all the way to the right, going at a 45 angle. When you're halfway, turn the wheel back. You should be about 12 inches from the curb. We're in America, so I'm talking about American standards. If you want me to talk about the UK, talk about Australia, talk about India, put those comments in and let me know. And I will talk about those, because this platform is a global platform to help people. Get in the habit of checking blind spots. A lot of beginners are practicing merging on expressway and they don't look over their shoulder. We just cut off a truck. We just cut off a car. And as an instructor, it's my job to tell you in a kind, loving, LOVING, loving way, WAY, to help you. And good instructors at the end of the lesson tell me 3 things you improved on. Tell me 3 things you didn't do well in. Good instructors take the time to talk to your parents. So I need you to use this guide to help you evaluate your coach, your instructor. And I had some really good questions. Obey the speed limits. If you're going 10 over, 15 over, you're going to, in fact, there was a rear end collision this morning. Driving into the laboratory, the speed limit was 70. A Impala rear-ended a Corvette. And the outcome was not good, as you might guess. So the Impala rear-ended the Corvette. And in the Midwest, if you rear-end someone, you are at fault. It varies. And we are a no-fault state. So the older car probably just had the basic coverage. The Corvette, I would imagine, would have full coverage. Also last night when we were driving, There was a Tesla doing about 80. We were traveling at about 45 to 50. It was in the rain. And then also we saw an Audi twin turbo, which was going about 65, a little too fast. And then there was a white Corvette. That video was nighttime driving. And you want to look at that because I was able to share hydroplaning, water on the ground. You could spin out of control. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom! That was the Tesla doing about 85. I guess their battery was running low. But they could have crashed. So I wanted you to see that. Check blind spots. Next, maintain a safe following distance. In the rain last night, I was maintaining a pretty safe following distance, trying to keep the car under control because the car was sliding a little bit on the water. It's called hydroplaning. Hydro is water. Plane means to lift. So what I need you to do is reduce your speed so you can feel the tires reapply themselves back on the ground. Pretend this is your tire and your tire is rolling. And on the water, your tire will actually lift off the water. So you won't have steering control. You won't have braking control. Next, scan intersections. A lot of beginners have a difficult time scanning intersections. And this will help you. Is the light green? Is there a pedestrian walking? Is it clear? And I really need you to take a moment and pause and think, because a lot of these facts will help you. Because I am a state certified instructor, I do go live 2 or 3 times a day to really give you some good insight into teaching you how to drive, what to expect, what a good driving instructor is, what is a good driver's ed car, how your parents should be supporting you. Your parents should not be screaming at you. They should not make you feel bad. They should be encouraging you because you don't know what to do. They actually have to tell you what to do. And a lot of parents are like, drive. You can't just drive. You have to learn how to drive. And they need a lot of verbal instruction. So when you see me coaching or narrating, you have to visualize yourself in the passenger seat or driver's seat, and I'm guiding you through the process. So I definitely have some really good information to help all of you. Parallel parking, merging on expressway. I have some really good downtown urban driving videos, Iowa, Chicago, Detroit. So I'm going to be putting those videos out. Eminem is an incredible artist, and he's really a low-key person, okay? And I need you to understand that he's just like you and I, except he's a multi-millionaire, and he really wants to be left alone. He's really a private person. The NFL draft purchased and created a lot of economic impact in the city of Detroit, upwards of $175 to $184 million. They're still working on numbers. You got to maintain proper hand position. There's more than one way. There's 9-3. There is 10-2. There's 7-5. AAA, which is a national organization, they actually say 7-5 because of the airbag. We're not trying to blow up our thumbs. So what I need you to do is learn how to control your steering wheel and learn how to feel comfortable. Don't assume drivers know what to do. I can't assume that any of you know what to do. But I want to teach you and give you those impactful moments. So when you're in the car, I remember he was talking about that. I remember that he said, I shouldn't run the light. And if I can, I need to, oh, thank God there were the police there. Or that kid just walked in front of me, okay? Scan intersections for oncoming traffic, for pedestrians. Effectively check your mirrors. A lot of beginners don't do that. You always have to check your mirrors every 10 to 15 seconds. Imagine us driving in downtown Jefferson. There are 150,000 people. They're walking beside us, to the left, to the right. Your brain would shut down because you're going to have information overload. And I try not to get my students involved in that type of interaction. I try to make sure you're consistent, you take your time, and then you can understand the formal outcome. Because my goal is just to get you ready for your road test. And I have road test prep content also. My goal is to get you ready to pass your test. And every day, tests can be challenging. If you found this powerful and helpful, give it a thumbs up. Look at all my videos. If you really like the content, subscribe to the channel because I'm working hard every day going live. I'll go live right around 3:05, 3:10 if I can get back to the lab in time. But also I'll be going, this is Eastern Standard Time. I'll be going live 6:50, 7:30, somewhere in there. You'll get notifications. So you have to subscribe to get those notifications. I want to say thank you. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.